And I remember my older sibling ran away when they were about 16 years old, and then all that hostility that my brother was releasing against my older sibling just turned to me. And when he did it, it was, you know, you're a faggot, like you're queer, like you're a stupid fag, all the kinds of like harassment that I just was like completely receiving the brunt of. And I remember telling my mom that this was going on, and she's like, oh yeah, well I'll talk to him, like, you know, don't worry about it, we'll fix it. And it honestly, it never got better. I just remember like going to high school, feeling like that was like my one escape away from the house. And I just remember that when people started thinking that I was gay, they started harassing me in school too. Like I remember getting things over my face, over like people being like, I'm gonna jump you if you come back to school because you're gay. Like I just remember going into the bathroom and seeing my name scribbled in the mirror that I'm gonna get beat up, that I'm queer, that everyone hates me. And I felt completely alone. Like I didn't feel welcome at my house, and I didn't feel welcome in school. I remember that when I was about 14, 15 years old, like I tried committing suicide. I remember that my brother, one time when him and I got in a fight, you know, I locked my door to my room, and he like sawed down my door, broke in, and took the pole from my, like, that was by my bed for some reason. I think it was just like extra plumbing or something, and started beating me with it. And I just remember like when my mom came home, I like came down, I had a black eye, I was bleeding, and I was just like, you know, he's doing this because I'm gay. And when I was coming out to her, they were like, oh, okay, well, you know, I'll stop it, I'll make sure this doesn't happen again. I just remember like feeling really unsafe, like not knowing what I was going to do. I remember looking outside this like 2-story duplex that we were in and wanting to jump out. I just remember feeling like I was going to die. So when I was 14, I ran away. I started couch surfing for about 11 months. I lived with friend after friend. I tried to find a place to stay. There's not really a lot of resources for young people, especially queer people. When you're running away from being gay, it's like this difference that like you don't know if you will be safe even in the shelter. And so I was couch surfing, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. I remember I was feeling for food. I remember getting caught from Safeway, stealing my bread and like small items and getting charged for it. I just remember like feeling really alone, feeling really depressed. When I was about 15, I like went to the Gay Alliance at my high school, which is like a support group for queer people. And I remember feeling for the first time like people like me. Even growing up in Seattle, it felt like there really wasn't any gay people. It was kind of depressing. And I just remember like, you know, joining the Gay Alliance and figuring out, you know, that it was okay to be who you were, it was okay to be gay, it was okay to be queer. And I just remember like the bullying at high school just got even worse. Like people were starting to react negatively to me being like, I don't want to be bullied anymore. They were like, well, you know, like you need to shut up, basically. They were like, you're gay, like you should expect to get this. I really related to Jamie's story because one time in English class, someone was like, well, what movie should we watch in class? And I was like, Legally Blonde, right? There's a typical gay thing to say. And I really like that movie. I think she's powerful and awesome. I really like John Cena. So I was Legally Blonde, right? She's a lawyer, she's about law, about government. I really like her. And then my teacher was like, and then the person behind me was like, well, of course it's like Legally Blonde, you're flaming queer. And I turned around and I was like, excuse me? And he's like, you're a faggot, you're a flaming faggot. And he started like saying profanity that I won't hear. And my teacher, I looked at the teacher and I was like, what are you going to do about this? Like, why aren't you saying anything? And the teacher was like, what am I supposed to do? I was like, protect me? I don't know, like figure out, like make him stop, right? So I go up to him and I'm like, you can't say that, there's just a safe zone, like, you're not supposed to say bad things about my sexual orientation, right? I was like, pulling that out of him. I remember like, his friends near him were like, why are you saying that he's calling you a faggot? He never called you a faggot, am I right? And everyone in the room didn't say anything. There's 33 kids in there. No one was getting up for me. I looked at the teacher and I was like, you heard him call me a faggot, right? And the teacher's like, go to the hallway. I don't really know what to do. And so we go in the hallway, and I'm like, he's calling me gay. Like, he's calling me a faggot. And the teacher's like, well, both of you need to go to the principal's office. You guys are both in trouble, right? So then we go to the principal's office. At this point, I'm crying, feeling very attacked in like a very core level of myself. I was also carrying a lot of like abuse that I was seeing my older brother like day to day. And at this point, I've already like moved back home. And I was talking to the principal, and a police officer comes in because it's basically like verbal assault. And the police officer pulls me into the room, and this is in the suburbs of Seattle, so it's really the next closest city you name it, and I'm probably the police department. But but basically, he told me that if I were to come out as gay, I should expect to get this. And Jamie's story really resonated with me because honestly, that's still happening. Like, yeah, it's 2010, but my story happened in 2008. Like, I mean, it's not really like this has really ended as much as some people portray. And in all honesty, like, sometimes it doesn't get better. Like, sometimes it gets worse. And I just remember like feeling like, you know, here's the law enforcement, like due process, equal protection, like move on, right? And I remember feeling like my own law enforcement was supposed to protect me, and I mean, honestly, how many people do they really protect? But so I was just basically like stunned, and my mom came in, and she was like, I don't know what to do, and I was like, I don't want to go back to school. And I just remember like feeling completely lost, feeling completely alone. And so at home, when I was 17 at the time, at home, my brother was living downstairs, I was living upstairs, and this one apex kind of happened where, at the time I was living back at home, my mom and I got an argument about her smoking inside, and I was like, you should be smoking inside, like, that's really dangerous. My brother comes in and he's like, why are you drinking all the family, you freaking fag? And he was just like going off on me. And I just remember, you know, I was basically like, I'm not going to stop with this. I went downstairs, and then my brother comes up to the hallway, and he's like, I'm going to kill you when you turn 18. And I just remember being like, this is not possible. And I, like, confronted my mom, and she's like, what do you expect? Like, you're staying here, like, he hates you for it, like, it's your fault. I just remember, like, at 17, I was like, I'm not going back. So I ran away again. And so I stayed in school. I got accepted to the University of Washington, luckily. I'm here now. Major in social science, that's pretty awesome. I love being on show. And I find that it's really frustrating because, you know, holidays are really hard, like not really having a family. And basically, like, trying to trust people is really difficult because how am I supposed to, like, trust someone's going to be there forever when my own mom left? You know, and it's just, like, really hard to, like, find friends. And I know that I feel it personally, and I know that through them, like, there's definitely been a caring community, and hopefully, like, we'll create a more caring community in the future.